Hey guys, it's Kimmy the Sparks here, and week 2 of my January is complete. My first day back at work was on Tuesday. I had scheduled in a recall from a job I did ages ago. When I got there and investigated, I found out that it was actually a separate issue. So, a recall that was free of charge ended up turning into a whole job that I did for the rest of the afternoon, which even included a mini CCU change. Also, I got a brand new phone so that I can record better content. Now demoting my little old iPhone with a button with giant holes. This will now be my work phone. I will be using this to take work pictures and separating my personal phone and my personal contacts from work. I think it will be a great step forward, and I've done that before in the past and it really worked for me. This week I had 0 paid work booked in when I was flying back to the UK on Monday, but everything always happens as it should be. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on next week's update. My way of finding work is very metaphysical. I believe in law of attraction, quantum physics, and all these type of things. I have never ever advertised, but I always find work coming in, even after long breaks or changing phone numbers. I believe in hard work. Not this airy fairy malarkey, but actual hard work. I believe that if you work hard, you focus, you make it clear to yourself on what it is that you want to achieve, all the opportunities and the people and the right things and the right everything will come to you at the right time. My second day back was on Wednesday. So in the morning, I got up and I got dressed for work. I put on my uniform and left the house knowing that I don't have any jobs booked in. But I thought, you know what, I'll just go to my CF, my favourite CF, get a hot chocolate, say hey to the boys and see how the day goes. I always dress in my uniform to make myself feel work ready at all times. I think that's one of the ways I put myself in a mindset to attract work and always be work ready. While I was in CF, my phone rang. I answered it and it was actually somebody who got my phone number from a client I worked for when I first started out, basically 10 years ago. I bumped into this client the other day at a bus stop, and he actually remembered me. He's like, oh yeah, I remember you did my chandelier. I took about a week to do that chandelier because it had all these little crystal ball things that you have to thread onto a little metal thing with gloves and fold it over and stick it on. And yeah, it took a week. I was like, yeah, sure, couple hour job. I was there for a week. Anyways, so he handed my phone number to this person that called me, and he said, oh, I've got this tenant that just moved into my property. The shower isn't working, the hot water isn't working. Can you please come out and have a look? And I said, okay, let me check my schedule. Put him on mute, put him off of mute, and I was like, yep, so yeah, that's fine. I'll be able to go there as an emergency. Send me the address and I'll be there. And it was only 10 minutes from the CF. Amazing, right? So I get into my car now and I go to this job, open up the shower, fault find, test, rectify, so on and so on, fixed it. I always ask the tenants, do you have any other electrical issues? And she said, yes. So she went and showed me the cooker panel, and the socket section of it wasn't working. So I took it off to investigate, and guess what I found? It was wired, right? The load and the supply were the wrong way around, and it was wired off of the whole ring main in 2.5 mil. I was like, what? This is an 8 kilowatt cooker. This is not okay. So I called the landlord and I was like, hey, this is what's happened. You know, it's not safe. So he ended up saying, look, why don't we do an EICR? I was going to expire soon anyways. Let's do the EICR. And at the same time, I did want to get the fusible changes updated. It's a little bit damaged and so on and so on. So now it's turned into a job where I fixed the shower on a call out. I've also changed the cooker switch, and then it turned into rewiring the whole circuit. And then it turned into EICR with changing the CCU. And then during the EICR, I found that the 3 sockets, there was only 3 sockets in a whole flat, it's a studio flat, they were all rusty from the damp. So I had to replace those, they weren't working properly. And the other side of the flat didn't have any sockets. So because of the lack of sockets, ended up installing one there as well. So it just turned into a whole day job. So when I do an EICR on any property, I'm also a qualified domestic energy assessor. So I carry out EPCs In the UK, it's a legal requirement if you are renting or selling your property. So I always check to see if the property has one. And here it was expired. Also, the upstairs flat, because it's a split house, also had an expired EPC. So now I'm also doing that. Then there was no smoke alarm, so we had a battery smoke alarm and a battery heat alarm installed. So at the end of it all, I was there and the whole day, including shopping for materials and everything else. I think I finished about 10 p.m. and I got home about 11, and then I done all the paperwork, sent out the email, done all the admin work such as the invoice and so forth and so forth. And I think I went to bed about 1 a.m. So basically from one emergency, this is how I generated about £1,500 worth of work in one property that I did all in one day. Of course, £500 was for materials, let's say, and let's say another £250 went towards expenses such as business expenses such as insurance and vehicle costs and tools and this and that and everything else, and tax. So after all of that, let's say £750 for the day was all mine to keep. And I consider this as a great second day back as an electrician, rebuilding my electrical self. So for about 12 hours of work from 10 to 10, that's about £60 an hour, which also includes 1 hour lunch that I took and then 1 hour driving around gathering all the materials. And yesterday, which was Thursday, I spent all day at home. I was doing admin, replying to emails, doing everything that I needed to do, preparation and some planning. I was also creating some social media posts for my social media networks and channels. And I left all of my tools in my car before I went on holiday. So yesterday when I was working, all of the batteries were drained. It was a big issue because there was only one circuit for sockets. So as I was working on it, it had to be off. So there was no way to charge it. And I was kind of struggling charging it for 10 minutes, working, charging it for 10 minutes and working. So I don't want to repeat of that. I put all of my batteries on charge and I need to think of a charging system or schedule. So let me know in the comments below on how you make sure that these kind of situations do not happen. How do you keep on top of what batteries are flat, what batteries are charged, and how often do you charge your tools? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't while you're at it. And then yesterday I had a guy call me for a quotation. He was somebody I met in CEF last summer. I remember I gave him my business card and said, look, I'm also a Sparky, but if you ever need anybody or a hand, please take my number and give me a call. I never heard back from him, so, I don't pay no attention to it, keep it moving. However, he called me yesterday. So if you give out your business card and someone doesn't call you within a few days or a few weeks or even a month, don't take it too serious. You never know. They might call you 6 months later. I've also experienced people calling me years later, like, oh, hey, I've had your phone number in my phone as a Sparky, are you an electrician? Can you help? So yeah, if you do give out business cards, then don't feel disheartened if somebody doesn't call you straight away. Do give them time. Don't ever pass by the opportunity to introduce yourself to somebody and give your business card. Anyways, so he called me asking for a quotation for a commercial EICR. He said he's completely busy and it's in a totally different area. It's in a different town outside of London. It's about an hour and a half drive for me. I asked him to send me more details. I said, look, WhatsApp me the pictures. Tell me where the location is, and then, let's see what we can do. In the meantime, I was panicking. I was like, well, actually, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should do this. I've not carried out an EICR on such a big premises before by myself, especially. Of course, I am a competent electrician and I am qualified and I know what I'm doing. However, I do lack in confidence. Competence and confidence. Same but different. It's very close, but two totally different things. Somebody can be a very competent electrician. However, they might not be that confident. Shout out to my friend Isolate for Life, Andy. Awesome little quote he gave me there. So I've done 3-phase EICRs before on 3-phase boards, but never a 3-phase panel plus additional CCUs in such a big building for a whole office block. I was feeling very nervous and scared, so I decided to share a little poll on my Instagram stories asking if I should take this job on as a paid learning opportunity or do some research, do some more studying, get my confidence up, and then come back to tackle such a thing like this. So like I mentioned, my issue is not competence, it's confidence. after such a long time off especially, I was feeling very nervous on how I would organize myself, how the workflow would go in terms of permits I may have to request, feeling a little bit nervous on damaging servers and computers and things like that. But on the Instagram poll, 90% of people said go for it. Go for it, Kimmy, take this on as a learning opportunity. And my DMs were flooded, absolutely flooded with amazing advice, amazing tips, resources, and even advice on how to price this job. So I decided to put in a quote. I put in a quote for £25 a circuit plus £50 per distribution board. So there's 3 distribution boards, that's £150, and 40 circuits roughly at £25 each. Then I also added a £500 VO, variation order, which is basically a £500 buffer just in case there is any remedial works, so that I don't have to keep going back and forth with the client while I'm on site to get work approved, or have to come back and do another visit. So the £500 variation order means that as I go along and I'm taking things off, I can just carry out minor remedial works up to that value. The best thing about this was actually the excitement that I got from seeing how easy it is to make £1,250 from testing. So I thought, the £1,250, let's say split between 2 people, that's £600 each. If you're taking 2 days, that's £300 a day, which is a very decent wage. If we do it quicker plus get remedials, that's more money for less time, which is amazing. So I thought, wow, you can really make £1,500 in a week testing a commercial premises. Plus, this can generate more work. I can upsell and offer this client another service such as pat testing or whatever it's called now. I always forget. I can never remember what the new name for it is. I think we'll call it pat testing forever. So, I can upsell, offer pat testing services, upgrade of their emergency lighting systems. I can also offer them an emergency testing certificate. There's also so many other things you can do, such as standard lighting upgrades from fluorescent lights to LEDs, fire alarm panel servicing, fire alarm certificates, a regular testing contract. There are so many opportunities on what I could upsell to this client to provide them a service that they need and something that I want to offer. So just from an EICR in a commercial premises, you can generate so much work. And the thing is, it's not just one-off work. You can generate yourself ongoing work, contractual work. You can provide them a 3-monthly pat testing certificate where you come in and test all the new appliances that came in. You can repair appliances. You can draft contracts where you come and do regular testing and check-in for the emergency lights. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. So whether I get the quote or not, that to me doesn't even matter. It was just the excitement that I felt to remember how easy it is to make money as an electrician when you provide a service that you are competent and qualified to do and you genuinely enjoy. So from this one job, potentially, I could make about £1,700, including the remedials, including the testing, plus all these other extras that I could add on. I could easily make £5,000 from just this one building in 1 month, plus the recurring visits that I would potentially offer to them to continue doing maintenance works and all these other certifications. So I really enjoyed entertaining the idea of finding 1 or 2 bigger commercial blocks that I can have set up as regular income while I fill in the gaps with domestic work. The possibilities that you can create for yourself as a self-employed electrician are endless. Honestly, you can create any setup you like, and I really do like the idea of having 1 or 2 commercial buildings just to keep the work regular. You kind of come in, you get to know the building, you get to know the people, and then fill in the rest of the work with what I normally like doing, which is domestic properties. I also had a perspective check. I had so many people reach out to me on Instagram that actually do this for work. One Sparky said he's in a hospital project with about 240 dBs, around 800 circuits, and he said there's about 70 sparks just there testing a giant hospital. I thought that was insane. It really put into perspective of how big some of these installations can get and how big of a team you might need to tackle it. So I realized actually 3 distribution boards is minor. It's not that much of a big deal. Obviously progressing from domestics to a office block is a big thing, but in comparison to what some of you guys do, it's nothing. So put into perspective, 3 distribution boards is actually tiny. With the correct organization, workflow, totally manageable. It also inspired me to set up the infrastructure to be able to accept these jobs when they do get approved or when more come in. So I set up a folder on my computer that I'll be working on this weekend that will include everything I need to be able to receive such a job and carry it out successfully. So in this folder, I've already started putting together the paperwork, which is the price list, the invoices, the optional extras I can upsell to the client, the service I can provide for them. I'll also add any resources in there that might need any kind of commercial regulations or any requirements that certain councils will need for commercial premises, breaking capacities, and all these other things that I will need for an EICR that are different to the domestic figures and numbers that I'm used to. I'll also be creating templates for contracts, templates for my TNCs as well, because they will be different from domestic. And I'll also be just double checking that my insurance is actually valid to cover me for this kind of work. I'll also be creating a workflow template with checklists and things like that that will help me once I do actually take on a job like this. I believe in preparing yourself to receive what you desire. So I'm creating the capacity to receive this work that I want, and I'm paving the way to be able to take on these jobs and carry them out successfully. So if I get this job that I quoted for, amazing. If not, I'll still be very happy, because motivation I got from this job, it has done a lot, and it generated a lot of good energy and work morale. Then I had a few other random people reach out to me as well. Somebody's uncle wanted some lights and a shelf put up, which I don't mind doing as mates rate sometimes, especially when, you know, there's gaps that need to be filled. But it's not something that I'll advertise as part of my work, and when I'm busy, I definitely don't take on any shelf putting up jobs. And another friend reached out to me to help with her bathroom lights not working, so I'll be going there over the weekend as well, investigate and replace. And guess what? I also had a builder reach out to me. I'd done work for him in the past. In the summer, I did EPCs for him, and he asked me to sign off his electrician work. And obviously I said no. I said to him, look mate, what you've done is awful. Please never touch electrics again. I said to him, I don't really want to work with somebody who is a builder doing electrics. You should leave that to electricians like myself. So I said to him, look, call me. If you ever need electrics done, don't do it yourself. Just call me and let's do it properly. Never heard back from him until yesterday. He called me and he goes, look, I need a socket put in a balcony. Can you do it? There is a light there. Can you wire it from that? I said, no, we don't do that. But thank you for asking. Then he said, oh, the RCD is tripping. Let's up the ratings. And I said, no, that's not how it works. Out of the earth, no, we're not doing that. I said, look, I'll go there, I'll fault find, I'll investigate, I'll test, and we'll do it properly. And I found it very interesting because I'm always on the end of fixing cowboy electrics. But it was actually really, really nice to be involved in somebody going through that full process and actually being able to stop them. Literally, thanks to me, there is one less builder out there doing dodgy work. He won't be cutting the earths out of the RCD tripping socket, and he won't be putting in this balcony socket off the light. So I'll also be going there on the weekend as well to investigate. And then I had a plumber as well who called me, said, look, can you do an EICR for my client? And then an electrician as well who said, look, I'm away on holiday and I'm super busy. For when I do get back, I won't be able to take on any jobs for another 4 weeks. Can you please help me out with these jobs? I met these both through wholesalers. I love small talk. I love chit chatting. If I see a builder buying sockets, I'll make a joke out of it. I'll say, are you a builder? He'll say, yeah. And I'll be like, oh mate, I hope you're not changing those sockets yourself. I'm a qualified electrician. Call me, let's discuss. I can help you out with your electrical work. I never miss an opportunity to small talk and give out my business cards. This is the thing. People think that other people in the trades are our competition. They don't want to step on their toes. However, I see it as quite the opposite. Most of the people that I've worked for the longest have actually been other tradesmen who are doing exactly the same thing I am, exactly the same services, but we collaborate and we team up. So some of us might be in the same field, so other electricians. However, we all specialize in different things and we all have different jobs that we prefer. So I love teaming up with other electricians. There are electricians that I'm teamed up with who love rewiring. I hate rewiring. I hate all of that. It's just not my thing. So we team up. They don't really enjoy the little fault finds. They don't like all of that. I love it. So it works. They send me the fault finding jobs that they can't stand. I send them the rewires that I don't like. it works. So other people that are doing the same thing are not always your competition, and you can always team up and help each other out. You never know, they might need cover while they're on holiday, or you might need cover while you're on holiday. You might be too busy, or they might be too busy, so you can share work. Also, you can learn from each other. Learn how you both run your businesses differently, what you can teach each other. It's very interesting to see what clientele other tradespeople attract. Some people attract a higher end clientele and other people attract lower end clientele. I normally find it very interesting to work with other tradespeople and see how they do it, how they run their business, how they run their operations, and what clients they attract. And today is Friday. I did 2 EPCs today that was booked through a client that I've worked with for about 10 years now. He's also doing the same thing as me. He does EPCs and so do I, but we have an agreement of where if I go to any jobs where I do EPCs for him, I am allowed to offer any of my other services, of course, except for the EPCs. That is a written rule. You don't steal people's clients. I don't do that. This is why I think I've got so many long-lasting relationships. I don't steal people's clients, and I always ask before I offer my own services that they don't offer, but it's always consensual. So when I went to the EPCs, I also said to the guy, oh, if you do need an EICR, give me a call. And he said he's got loads more properties, so who knows? So this is how I went from having 0 jobs. That is how my week went. Well, from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is how my last 4 days went, my second week of January. I came back from holiday with 0 paid jobs booked. Nothing planned except for a recall that was free. To then dressing up, going out to work every single day with undeniable faith that all is well and all will be okay. And it proved itself right. Everything was okay. And I had a very successful week. And I made an amazing week's wage for only being on site pretty much half the time. So for next week, I have 1 job booked in, which is for that builder to go check out the trip in RCD, and an EPC on Monday. The rest is a blank space, which I have full 100% faith will get filled with jobs, as it always has throughout my whole working career. I just get dressed, show up, and the work somehow finds me all the time. My weeks always get filled with crazy, unpredictable work scenarios from the most random places. I see my life as the Truman Show. So make sure you subscribe and tune in next Friday to see how my week goes. And if you have any questions or if you have any requests for any videos you want me to make, let me know in the comments. Make sure you reach out to me on Instagram as well. I've got TikTok, or send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions as well. Thank you so much for watching. And on that note, good night. Oh wait, if you're watching this in the daytime, good morning.